Be ready. Start. Parliament recognized the need to bring about suitable amendments to existing legislation to facilitate e-commerce, more so in light of India being a signatory to the United Nations Commission on International Trade Laws Model Law on Electronic Commerce in 1996. It therefore proposed to provide legal recognition of electronic records and digital signatures. This would, as the statement of objects and reasons indicate, enable the conclusion of contracts and the creation of rights and obligations through the electronic medium. Parliament envisaged the use and acceptance of electronic records and digital signatures in governmental offices and agencies to facilitate electronic governance and to make the citizens' interaction with the governmental offices hassle free. Bearing the legislative number of Act 21 of 2000, the law came into force on 17th October 2000. The long title to the legislation provides that it is an act to provide legal recognition for transactions carried out by means of electronic data interchange and other means of electronic communication, commonly referred to as electronic commerce, which involve the use of alternatives to paper-based methods of communication and storage of information to facilitate electronic filing of documents with the government agencies, and further to amend the Indian Penal Code, the Indian Evidence Act 1872, the Bankers Book Evidence Act 1891, and the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Section 6A contemplates that for the efficient delivery of services to the public through electronic means, government may authorize a service provider to set up, maintain and upgrade computerized facilities and perform other services. Section 7 provides legal support to the retention of records in the electronic form. Where a law requires documents, information or records to be preserved, the requirement is satisfied by preserving them in an electronic form subject to the fulfillment of conditions. One of the conditions stipulated by Section 1C is that the details which facilitate the identification of the origin, destination, date and time of dispatch or the receipt of the electronic record are available in the electronic record. The date and time of receipt or of the dispatch of an electronic record are crucial from this perspective to the maintenance of an electronic record. The dispatch of a record occurs when it enters a computer resource outside the control of the originator. The time of receipt of the electronic record is fixed by the provisions of subsection 2 of section 13. When the addressee has designated a computer resource, receipt occurs when the record enters the computer resource so designated. Otherwise, where no computer resource is designated, the receipt of the record is when it is retrieved by the addressee. These provisions have been incorporated in the law to enable the dispatch and receipt of a record in the electronic form to be defined with precision with reference to both time and place. In the above context, it is to be noted that the rate of customs duty is determined on the date on which the bill of entry for home consumption is presented, section 15. The presentation of the bill of entry has to be made electronically, section 46 read with the 2018 regulations. The presentation is required to be made on the customs automated system. The provisions in the Customs Act for the electronic presentation of the bill of entry for home consumption and for sales assessment have to be read in the context of section 13 of the Information Technology Act, which recognizes the dispatch of an electronic record and the time of receipt of an electronic record. The legal regime envisaging the electronic presentation of records, such as the presentation of a bill of entry, has been imparted precision as a result of the enabling framework of the Information Technology Act under which these records are maintained. The presentation of the bill of entry under section 46 is made electronically and is captured with timestamps in terms of the requirements of the Information Technology Act read with Rule 5(1) of the Information Technology Electronic Service Delivery Rules 2011. The extent and amplitude of the rule making power would depend upon and be governed by the language of the section. If a particular rule were not to fall within the ambit and purview of the section, the central government in such an event would have no power to make that rule. Likewise, if there was nothing in the language of section 40 to empower the central government either expressly or by necessary implication to make a rule retroactively, the central government would be acting in excess of its power if it gave retrospective effect to any rule. The underlying principle is that unlike sovereign legislature, which has power to enact laws with retrospective operation, authority vested with the power of making subordinate legislation has to act within the limits of its power and cannot transgress the same. The initial difference between subordinate legislation and the statute laws lies in the fact that a subordinate lawmaking body is bound by the terms of its delegated or derived authority, and that court of law as a general rule will not give effect to the rules thus made unless satisfied that all the conditions precedent to the validity of the rules have been fulfilled. Thank you.